Welcome to the War Room, where we decide who won this week's Wednesday Night War between AEW Dynamite and NXT. My name is Michael Valenti. Both shows were awesome, in my opinion, this week. You have surprises. You have great in-ring action. You have storyline progression. And at the end, it was just 4 hours of great professional wrestling programming. So let's start things off with the surprises. AEW Dynamite and their announcement that Eddie Kingston is going to be the challenger for the TNT Championship match on Dynamite tonight. And the announcement on NXT is that Keith Lee is vacating the North American Championship and will have a new champion at NXT TakeOver 30 in a ladder match. And the participants of the ladder match will be decided in a series of triple threat matches. The Eddie Kingston announcement, he comes out, he cuts a promo that was absolutely amazing. Right then and there, as soon as he was done talking, if I was Tony Khan, I'd run out from the back and hand him a contract like I was Triple H handing Drake Maverick his contract at the end of that episode of NXT a month ago. That's what I would have done right there before the match even started. Like Tony Khan runs out, hands a contract, runs back, start the match. That promo was awesome. They need a little bit more of those kind of guys in AEW, in my opinion, where it's, he could talk the talk, but walk the walk, and he definitely did that in the match, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I know a lot of people are talking about the Keith Lee announcement. Should he vacate the title? Does it hurt the prestige of the title? No, it doesn't. Let's not forget that in 1990, I know it was 30 years ago, but the Ultimate Warrior did not defend both titles when he won the Ultimate Challenge. He vacated the Intercontinental Championship because at that time, the rule was you can only hold one title. Now, here in 2020, you can hold multiple titles, as we've seen with Becky 2 belts and Seth Rollins and Tetsuya Naito. So I know times have changed, but the other thing you watch is that he has to have a match for the North American Championship and then has a match for the NXT Championship. He loses one, he wins the other. So let's just get rid of that 2-match concept. Have him drop the title and have someone win it in the ladder match. I'm totally fine with it. So let's move on to the actual in-ring action. Eddie Kingston versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship. Killian Dain versus Dexter Lumis on NXT. Dexter Lumis showed a different side of him that I have not seen yet in NXT, where he's doing jumps off the stairs. He's doing sentons off the top rope. I didn't mind it. I mean, he picked his spots. He doesn't have to do all these flippy things all the time, like we've seen some big men do recently, but he picks his spots. So it's like, whoa, he could do that. Cool. It just adds to the character. I like it. I like Dexter Lumis, and I like what they're going with him. And I know next week he's going to have a shot at the North American Championship in his triple threat match, so I hope he wins that. We're going to talk about that a little later. But let's talk about this TNT Championship match. Awesome match. Awesome match. No DQ. They went to the outside. They were using the concrete floor. Eddie Kingston lands on it, hurts his knee, does a phenomenal job selling it throughout the night. He might have actually hurt his knee landing the way he did, so it might have been a little bit of a shoot, but he did a good job selling it regardless. And it led to the finish of the figure 4 from Cody that led to Eddie Kingston tapping out for the win. And of course, we had the thumbtacks prior to the finish, which kind of gave me those Cactus Jack versus Triple H vibes. Now, I'm not saying the whole match was like the 2000 Royal Rumble WWE Championship match. No. But that spot right there just had me thinking about that Cactus Jack versus Triple H match, because I've been watching that Untold documentary on the WWE network. So it's like seared in my brain right now. So seeing that just kind of gave me that flashback. Very good match. Like I said, Eddie Kingston should be in AEW. Should have gotten the contract after last night. Next up, we have a couple squash matches. MJF versus Griff Garrison. Breezango versus Ivellise. Breezango dress up like the Mounties as they're going against their Canadian counterparts there. It was what it was. But MJF, I think, took the segment here where they were trying to tell the story that MJF has not been pinned, not been submitted. Griff Garrison comes in and asks, hey, haven't you lost at Fyter Fest, that tag team match? But remember, Wardlow was the one that took the loss there, not MJF. So after a beatdown going into commercial break, MJF grabs the microphone out of commercial break, shoves it into Griff Garrison's face, says that, forces him to say he's never lost. He's never lost, and Griff Garrison eventually does. MJF does this weird pile driver move off the ropes for the victory. Good segment. Helps push the storyline of MJF. What's he going to do? Is he going to go for the TNT championship or the AEW championship? Because that's really the only direction this goes. So hopefully it goes towards the AEW championship against Moxley. I think that's where they're heading for All Out. But who knows what happens, because you have Taz cutting a promo next on AEW Dynamite where he's talking about the match with Brian Cage and why he threw in the towel. Great explanation. Simple. Business move. I don't want Brian Cage having his bicep torn again, so I threw in the towel. Darby Allin comes in. Ricky Starks comes in. Jon Moxley comes in for the save with a barbed wire bat. Good segment. Progressive storyline. And I like where this is going because you have all these interweaving storylines. You have Moxley and Cage. You have Cage and Darby. You have Darby and Starks. Starks teaming with Brian Cage all of a sudden. Taz always ripping on Jon Moxley. So is there something between those two now? I like where it's going. What I don't like where it's going is Shotzi Blackheart and Aliyah, and what I think is a payoff here with the Robert Stone brand. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Robert Stone brand. I don't think this really did anything for Aliyah. Shotzi Blackheart gets the win. Cool. She should get the win here. After the match, though, I think is what everybody's talking about. Blackheart runs over Robert Stone again with the tank. Robert Stone overselling it like a goofball. But then Mercedes Martinez comes out of nowhere and kicks Shotzi Blackheart in the face. Now, I've been hating the Robert Stone brand since its inception, but now they've piqued my interest, in my opinion. They piqued my interest because I want to see if Robert Stone could be a little bit more serious. He doesn't have to be complete goofball, but he doesn't have to be completely serious either. But I want to see this dynamic with him and Mercedes Martinez. She does everything in the ring. He does everything out of the ring. Let's see where this goes. I hope it goes well because this could be very bad for Mercedes Martinez if it doesn't go well. Next up, you have two great matches, but I think we had the match of the night on NXT here. The Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade was a good match, had its moments. The finish was kind of cool where you have both Jacksons jumping off the entrance through the tables on Butcher and Blade for the 1, 2, 3. But personally, I want to see Butcher and the Blade get a win on Dynamite. I don't think they've had one yet, other than that 8-man tag a couple weeks ago. So the Butcher and the Blade could have done a lot better with the win than the Young Bucks. But maybe the storyline progresses somehow that I'm not seeing yet. So I won't go too bad into it, but I would have liked to see Butcher and Blade get the win there. But over on NXT, this might have been one of those very few occasions where people might have switched over from AEW Dynamite to NXT because Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano versus Roderick Strong was the match of the night, in my opinion. These guys had great chemistry in the ring. They had great flow. They knew what they were doing. There was storytelling between Gargano and Roderick Strong where they don't trust each other. They know their past, but yet they know they have to beat on Bronson Reed to win the match. And basically they were double teaming Bronson Reed. So Reed was kind of the underdog and fighting them off. It was an awesome match. Best match of the night, like I said. If you only watched AEW Dynamite, DVR'd NXT, fast forward through that first hour and go right here. Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano versus Roderick Strong. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Next up, we have another couple physical matches here. Ivellise versus Diamante. And you have Timothy Thatcher in a rematch against Oney Lorcan. Now, Ivellise versus Diamante, this was a big match because they're trying to build this women's division. And right now, 4 of the top 5 in the women's division are either hurt or not there. So you got to build more contenders for Hikaru Shida. This would have been a great match to focus in on, and they did a good job. I mean, Ivellise looked good. Diamante looked good. It was very physical. But then they cut Big Swole in here and cutting a promo on Britt Baker. So it was like there was a disconnect there. What am I supposed to follow? Big Swole talking or the match? I would have waited for the Big Swole segment after the match. That way I could focus on Ivellise and Diamante because they need the shine. We know who Big Swole is already. We don't know who Ivellise is. We don't know who Diamante is unless you follow them outside of AEW Dynamite. For those that don't know them outside of AEW Dynamite, you kind of lowered their level of importance there, in my opinion, and that wasn't really needed. Love the match, though. I thought it was very good. Diamante gets the win. She faces Sheeta next week, so we'll see Diamante hopefully full screen with Sheeta the whole 10, 15 minutes that they get. Hopefully that gives her some shine as well, and hopefully Ivellise, this isn't the last time we see her on AEW Dynamite, because I'd love to see her either in NXT or AEW, because she's one of those that I don't understand why she's not signed yet. Timothy Thatcher versus Oney Lorcan, that rematch, not as good as the first match from Great American Bash, but very good nonetheless. Very technical, whereas last time it was more storytelling, I think, or excuse me, more physical than it was technical. This time it was more technical than it was physical. The finish was good as Oney Lorcan finally got some kind of hold on Timothy Thatcher, but Thatcher was able to roll him over for a pin, 1, 2, 3. Gives you a chance that we'll see a third match here, and I hope it's at NXT TakeOver, and I hope it's a submission match, because I think these two can really pull off a submission match better than anybody else on the NXT roster right now. I hope that happens. Next up, Adam Hangman Page versus 5. Finn Balor cuts a promo about his triple threat match in the North American Championship tournament leading up to the ladder match. The Finn Balor promo was good. He calls out Keith Lee, saying he's not a man for going for both belts or putting up both belts on the line. And he says that the push for Dexter Lumis and Timothy Thatcher have hit their ceiling, and whoever wins the ladder match is going to, or whoever participates in the ladder match will get the Finn Balor rub. Good little promo, good little video package. But I think the storytelling on AEW Dynamite in this Hangman Page versus 5 was very good. The match itself, it was what it was. But you have Dark Order without Brody Lee watching on during the match. Brody Lee with Colt Cabana coming out after the match, and that's important. And then Brody Lee comes out and asks Hangman Page to join Dark Order. Hangman Page declines. Then you have FTR coming in, shooing off Dark Order, hitting them with the cooler that explodes over, I think it was John Silver's head. Kenny Omega, after all the beatdown was done, comes in. So he's a little late to the party. But this is interesting. We know that Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are facing Page and Omega next week on Dynamite, as it was announced later on in the night. But you also have Colt Cabana now joining forces with the Dark Order, it seems like. And we have that dynamic of Colt Cabana and Kenny Omega from BTE, Hangman Page joining or signing up for Dark Order a while back. That's been discussed on BTE. I wish some of the stuff on BTE would be on Dynamite, because it would tell the story a whole lot better. And of course, the dynamic between FTR, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega is there too. So again, interweaving storylines. I really like that. So anytime you can interweave storylines, it's an A+ for me. Main event time. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, and Dominik Dijakovic versus Karrion Kross. The tag team match was good. I think they executed the distractions pretty well. I think it could have been a little bit better. I like the Chris Jericho, Aubrey Edwards exchange. Kind of reminded me of Triple H and Earl Hebner back in the day. That was good. The finish, obviously people are talking about, because Luchasaurus looked like he was about to choke slam Chris Jericho, but while Aubrey Edwards is distracted, Serpentico hit Luchasaurus with the bat, gave Jericho a chance to get the code breaker in. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Then the Inner Circle beat down on the Jurassic Express. And we learned that Sammy Guevara has returned. Now, a lot of people are talking about this, and here's my take on it. He said what he said. It was stupid. Yes. He is remorseful for what he said. He has talked to Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks has gone on public and saying that, you know what, they talked it out. He has apologized. He went to sensitivity training. He was suspended for 30 days, had his pay taken away, and he's back. I think he learned his lesson, and hopefully we will see that in the weeks, months, and years to come with Sammy Guevara. So he served his time. Now let's get him back. And I think a lot of people are excited to see Sammy Guevara back in action. And we learned after the Best Friends came back to save them from the beatdown, we'll have a 5-on-5 match, the Jurassic Express and the Best Friends against the Inner Circle next week. I'm excited for that. That's going to be It's going to be car crash wrestling probably, but it could be fun nonetheless. I'm excited to see that. But Dominik Dijakovic and Karrion Kross, I think, had the better main event because this had Rocky IV written all over it, where Karrion Kross just beat down Dijakovic, and I think the storytelling was really there, especially at the end, where Dijakovic gets the stairs kicked in on his head, knocks him out, and Kross just keeps pounding him and pounding him and pounding him. And Keith Lee finally comes out, and he's out there in the ring trying to, save Dijakovic. Dijakovic pushes him away. Don't come in. Don't end this match. It was awesome. And then you have Karrion Kross staring down at Keith Lee before putting in the cross jacket for the win. Afterwards, you have that same exact Rocky Balboa holding on Apollo Creed's shot, like Keith Lee holding on Dominik Dijakovic as Killian Kross comes in, and that is the end of the night. This was awesome. They did an excellent job. This was Karrion Kross's best match in NXT so far. Dominik Dijakovic looked very good, doing a great job selling it. The execution was amazing. We know where this is going. So, yes, it's like that Rocky IV storyline. The only thing missing was a manager of Dominik Dijakovic's yelling, "Throw the damn towel!" That would have been cool. But, like I said, both shows were awesome. If you liked NXT, I would not yell at you for it. If you like Dynamite, I would not yell at you for that, but still have to make a decision. And before I make my decision, let's look at the ratings. And both shows went up. AEW Dynamite went up from a 0.29 last week in the 18 to 49 demographic to a 0.32. Not only that, they went up in the 50 plus demo again from a 0.30 last week to a 0.31 this week. And they won the total viewership with 845,000 viewers, another bump from last week where they had 788,000 viewers. NXT had a 0.17 up from their 0.14 last week. They went down again in the 50 plus demo, a 0.33 last week. It was a 0.36, and their total viewership went down 631 last week, 615,000 total viewers this week. So AEW Dynamite won the 18 to 49 demo, and they won the total viewership by over 200,000 viewers. So, like I said, I think both shows followed up nicely from last week's seed planting. The story progressing was very good. The matches were awesome. You got 4 hours of awesome professional wrestling, in my opinion. Which show did I think was better? It was tough to say, but I think AEW Dynamite did just a little bit more than NXT. So NXT, it was good. It was such a good show, but Dynamite gets the win this week. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought was the match of the night, what show was better, and don't forget to share us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, SCPB Podcast. And for weekly reviews of AEW Dynamite and NXT, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Zygo Babble.